Hello, everybody. Welcome to Phonogenics 101. We are back with another Prince episode. I've been really good at staying on track with this. We finished the Stevie Nicks series. We only have 2 left of Madonna and Joni Mitchell. We are into the 90s of Joni Mitchell's music. But Prince, we took a couple months off. So we are back, and tonight we're going to talk about an album that all of us love, at least I know me and Aisha do, and Clark, I haven't asked you yet, but I'm okay. You do love it. Clark loves it, and our friend Melissa just messaged. She's on our way, so Melissa will be here. Thank you to all the YouTube subscribers. Every time I go on our page, there's more subscribers, so I really appreciate that. I also had a few more people join my Patreon, and sometimes I feel guilty for that, but then I realize I'm investing my time and the money for the Zoom membership. So thank you all for the support. And I do have to just give a little bit of tea that, you know, some people go on the page and leave some kind of mean comments, and I will say it does get to me a little bit because we're just trying to have fun here. You know, sometimes I don't do tons of research before these. I'm just talking from the top of my head and the top of my heart and doing the best we can. So, you know, if you have a fact that you'd like to put in the comments that we got wrong, totally cool, but don't be mean. We're just trying to have fun. And, you know, with my Patreon, I'm averaging about $15 an episode for these, so it's not like we're getting rich. All right, and Melissa has joined us. Yay, the Prince crew is in the house. All right, so I'm going to go through and introduce my panel, and I guess just tell me a little bit about your love of Prince. We'll start with my top left, Clark Brooks.
Hi, I'm Clark Brooks. I live in Tampa near Jeremy, and I never see him. But we're both Prince fans, God, forever, since I saw the cover of the first album way back when, the For You album. So, yeah, I'm from the beginning. So I'm just a fan. I'm not a musician. I'm not an expert. I just enjoy the music and the entertainment.
And have you been with the Phonogenics Prince series from the beginning? You were there for the For You episode, weren't you?
I think so, yeah.
Yep.
I think I've been for most of them.
Cool. Up next on the bottom left is my friend Aisha Staggers, who you can also see doing her podcast and lots of stuff. Take it away, Aisha.
So you can also see Prince over my shoulder. Yeah, I've been a Prince fan since I was like 9 years old. I remember watching 1999 and a little red Corvette on MTV the year before, well, 2 years before when I was 7, 8. But I really became a fan when Dove's Cry came out, and had my father, who was working at a radio station then, was a DJ, get me the promo copy. So I still have the promo 12-inch copy from 1984. And that was my introduction to Prince. And I fell in love with Prince when I flipped the album over and listened to 17 Days. So,
woo, featuring Brenda Bennett on background vocals.
Yeah. And so that was really, really it. And ever since I've been a fan, and you know, I do a podcast with Jill Jones, like you said, political podcast, and I've also written many, many, many articles about Prince. So, as a journalist.
And what was it? There's something you posted on Twitter that was like the whole series of something. What was that?
Oh, there's Prince Twitter threads.
Okay. Yep. I love that.
Yeah. It's a series of Twitter threads about Prince and Prince associated artists. I did Jill Jones and the family. This one that they're doing right now about artificial age, I'm actually not doing, but I might do the next one.
Perfect. And one final thing I'll say about you is you've been with us since Controversy, I believe.
Yeah. All
right. And last but not least, our friend from Ohio. I met her in person with Jill Jones and Clark. Melissa Riley, you've been with us since the For You podcast, haven't you?
Since the beginning, since the one Sign of the Times.
Oh yeah, since the Sign of the Times was the first one. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, people were saying like, "Are you skipping Sign of the Times?" I'm like, "No, actually, that was like one of the first ones we ever did."
Yeah, the first one with Jill.
Oh, that was so fun. So tell us about your love of Prince.
Well, I'm trying to change my background. That's why I was not on the video. Sorry for the distraction. I've loved Prince since middle school, since probably the 1999 Controversy album. I remember 1999 more, but I did hear a little bit of Controversy back then, but unfortunately my parents listened to country music, so I had to sneak and listen to Prince. So, and my mom always hated him. Like, she would never let me listen to him in the car.
Oh.
I know, right?
My goodness. And the thing I love about Melissa is like, if everyone else on the panel is like, oh, that song's terrible, Melissa's like, I like it. Like, you always find the positivity and the good in everything, except for Annie Christian and Sister, right?
Yeah. Yeah. There's a couple more, but
Those are the main ones.
yeah,
All right.
those are the big ones.
Well, let's dig into the topic at hand. I became a Prince fan. Now, I liked him from Purple Rain, but I actually started buying his vinyls sometime between Parade and Sign of the Times. So Sign of the Times was the first Prince album that I experienced as it came out. And then, of course, the next one to come along is the one we're talking about tonight, Lovesexy. And that was back in the day before you really knew much about albums until they came out. There might have been, like, I think a small half-page article in Rolling Stone that talked about the album a month before it came out. It talked a little bit about how there was an album called The Black Album that wasn't being released, and he had recorded Lovesexy instead. We've decided to talk about The Black Album a different night. But Lovesexy was 1988, correct? And I just remember this album had so many textures, and the first time I heard it, it just gave me a different feeling than anything Prince had ever done before. And it really, I guess I don't want to jump too far ahead of ourselves, but for me personally, with Around the World in a Day and Parade and even Sign of the Times, I feel like Prince was experimenting and, trying to take us to a different world. But I feel like on Lovesexy is where he really, really solidified that psychedelic Prince thing that only Prince could do. Like, this is music that only Prince could make. And I feel like he never quite made an album of this depth and scope again, in my opinion. Like, this album just touched me in such a sociological, like, spiritual, sexual, all the things that were so great about Prince and that Prince did. Yes, I love the yes. And I used to show your pillow.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I have 4 of them from my couch.
Actually, I was late because I was trying to find this.
Oh, the I Know shirt. And the cool thing about this album is a lot of the stuff on the album jacket are things that would stay in the Prince universe kind of for the rest of his career. Like, this is the first time you heard the statement "New Power Soul," right? That would become an album later on. Glam Slam would become one of became his club in Miami. This is the first time you hear about the New Power Generation, right? And that became his band name and an album name later. So this album was held so many things that would pop up for the rest of Prince's career. So I just feel like this was a huge turning point for him. I'm going to say right from the beginning, I fucking love this album. Love. I revisited it in the car before I came here, and I was blown away again. And maybe even more so than the first time I heard it. So let me just tell a quick story, then I'll shut up and let everyone else talk. My first taste of this album was I grew up in a small town near Buffalo, New York. And Buffalo, the radio station was playing the first single, Alphabet Street, on their like top 10 show, and it kept charting. But for some reason, they were playing like the B-side. So they're playing like from the middle of the song where the cat rap is. I'm like, this new Prince song is weird. It's just like a rap. So I never heard like the first actual part of Alphabet Street till the Lovesexy album came out. I thought that was the actual song. I'm like, this is a weird single. He just has some cat person rapping, and it didn't have like a chorus or verse or anything. So isn't that weird? I wonder why the radio station did that. To this day, I'll never know. And for weeks, like, it charted, that B-side part 2, whatever it was, charted in their top 10 locally. So
Oh, wow.
You're from New York. Do you remember Hot 103?
yes.
That's where I first heard it.
Okay.
On Hot 103 at like maybe midnight or so, because I used to here I was 13 years old. Ever since I was like 9, discovered Prince, I would be up at like all hours of the night, like set my alarm clock to wake up at 3 a.m. because I knew that's when they would play like the extended version of Kiss and stuff like, So I would I would do all of that. But Hot 103, which eventually became Hot 97, that's where I first heard it, Alphabet Street. But they only had just the edited version.
And it was part 1 though, the verses in the chorus.
Yeah, it ended right before the rap. It was the video version.
So you got part 1 and I got part 2 over in Buffalo. Now, I will say one more thing before we start jumping into the discussion. But for me as a fan, upon hearing this album the first time, this is the first time it really didn't feel like even though it was moderately successful, it didn't feel like a popular album. This is the first time it really felt like, as a Prince fan, we were in our own kind of secret club. For me, I don't know if anyone else had that feeling, but this is where something changed for me, and I definitely was on board for it. So let's go around the circle.
If you listen to the radio back then, I mean, you could tell, you could listen to stuff and go, okay, this is not a radio song. This is not a radio song. This might, you don't have to be in radio programming to figure out this would be a hit, this might be a hit, or this will even get played.
Right.
And you're right. There's very little on this album where you listen to it and go, yeah, I can imagine this being played on a standard FM radio station.
As time went on, Sign of the Times, became legendary and looked at as one of Prince's best albums. But at the time, there's only a couple singles that didn't chart as high as maybe Kiss or Raspberry Beret. So, he wasn't.
But they at least sounded like singles, though.
Yeah, they did sound. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think the problem with this album was that people just didn't know what to do with it, right? Because well, we'll get to the cover in a minute, but because of the cover, 1, and 2, on LP, it was one long song. It was, a single track. And so people didn't know where to put the needle to like start a song. I said this before the show, there is this kind of a miscarriage of justice on this album. The fact that the singles that were selected, in my opinion, didn't demonstrate the best performances on the album. And there were definitely other songs that could have been more commercially popular than the ones that were released. Although I love the ones that were released, but there were other ones that could have, like not releasing Anastasia was a big mistake. And I mean, that really could have propelled this album to a much, much higher place in the charts than it landed.
I know, Melissa and Clark, what did you all think of this album when it first hit your hands? When it first hit your record player?
You go first, Melissa.
I'm trying to remember. I know I just graduated and I loved the album. Like when I first heard it, when it first comes on, you kind of like, what is going on? What is this? Rain is wet, sugar is sweet, But then the beat kicks in and for I Know, and it's just like, forgot what I was going to say. Anastasia to me is one of, I'll talk about that when we get there, but like Aisha said, Anastasia should have been released. I don't remember what songs were released besides Alphabet Street, because I remember hearing that for the first time, I think on a video. I think it was Friday Night Videos or something. Or
Glam Slam and
I Wish You Haven't.
I Wish You Haven't.
Oh yeah, I Wish You Haven't. Yeah, Glam Slam. I didn't really get into that at the time. Like once I realized that he had a club named that, then I kind of liked it more. But in the beginning, it was like, what is going on? Like the way the album, I never had an album like that, or we had a cassette tape where you couldn't like pick the song. You had to like go through the whole thing. So we listened to that album in its entirety over and over and over and over. because you couldn't like stop it in between.
Right.
So, and I was living with my first, well, we weren't married yet, my first ex-husband. And when I got that cassette, he did not like the cover at all. So he threw it away.
Oh,
Jeez.
So I got my mom, who didn't like Prince and wouldn't let me listen, and to my ex-husband, who was like, no.
well,
Yeah, you get a lot of visceral reactions to your music, man.
Right.
Gosh.
Well, Clark, I know you need to jump off in like 1 minute. So do you want to give us a quick high-level overview of?
Yeah, real quick. Like I said, I've been a fan since the beginning, but man, Sign of the Times really sucked me in. So when this was coming out, it was kind of a like go to the record store the day it came out thing for me. And I did that. Sure, the cover gave me pause, but I didn't have a problem buying it. Yeah, like everybody else, I was kind of annoyed by the fact that it's one single track. It was like, damn it, Prince. But, you know, that was intentional on his part. He wanted you to listen to the whole thing as one piece. Looking back, it's amazing to me that it's exactly 10 years between For You and this album.
Wow.
You know, which, you know, now artists put out an album once every 3, maybe 4 years. Prince had how many 10 albums in 10 years, and they're all so different, you know.
So good. They're all good.
Yeah. And it's just you listen to For You, there's no way you predict what Lovesexy is going to sound like in 10 years.
No.
Oh.
Now, I had the vinyl, so I didn't realize that it was all one song until I got the CD like years later. Melissa, sorry to interrupt you.
I was just gonna say, I forgot what I was gonna say now. I'm sorry. There's something about what Clark said. But Marcus says hello. He's still at work and he can't join. So.
Maybe next time.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So what about this album cover?
This album cover brings back so many memories. So I'll tell the story. I didn't tell it, you guys, backstage. I saw the album in the record store, of course, 13 years old in 8th grade, about to go into 9th grade. And I begged my parents for this album. My mother was like, well, I have to talk to your father because of the cover. And so my parents had this conversation, but it was weeks of me being like, please, 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 can I have that? Please, can I have it? Please, can I have it? And my mother, they were like, no, with the cover. Mind you, they had just discovered my controversy poster on the back of my door. So they really were not feeling this cover. And I'll never forget, it was like the big old compromise in our house, like the biggest compromise ever that we've ever had to have and settle between the parents and the children, was that I got the album and I got the sleeve, but my parents kept the cover in the closet. I only got the cover back when my parents got divorced. And when my father was moving stuff out, you know, I just went in and.
At least they didn't throw it away.
No, they didn't. But I was like so upset that they you know, took it. And my mother didn't even, you know, realize at the time afterwards that I had taken it back.
No, it was like people make dramatic statements with her stuff.
It was like that. I was like, I'm gonna hold my breath until you get me the album. I'm not talking to you until I get the album.
I don't feel like there's anything sexy about that picture, though. I just feel like it's all natural. Like, it's just, I think it's like pure and natural. But to me, like the controversy shower picture, sexy. Like, that's sexy. Lovesexy.
Well, it's always like, well, you know, there's the you know, if you know about flowers, there's the little phallic looking thing. I forget what part of the flower they call it, but yeah, so it was kind of
the pistol, maybe.
Yeah, they had like it was sexually suggestive. Yeah, the one, it's like pointing at him, and it's suggestive, but I think it reflects this dynamic of the album in its entirety. It's this constant pull between the sexual and the profane, and the profound, meaning the biblical. And so the album cover is like that too, because here he is nude, but then it's also pure lily, lilies are pure and all of that.
Well, not only the nudity, but also he doesn't have any facial hair. He looks a little weird without facial hair,
Yeah.
I know he's always changing his look, but he'd always had the little stash or, something.
Yeah.
So.
I do have to say this is one of my least favorite Prince hairstyles. I know we're not talking about hair, but I wasn't on board for the Lovesexy graffiti bridge longer hair.
Oh,
I actually like the
I
Lovesexy
love
hair.
the long hair.
Jeremy,
I love
I'm gonna
I love the
come back
Lovesexy
in about
hair.
10 minutes.
Okay.
All right.
Oh my gosh.
I love
that's
the
my
Lovesexy
favorite
hair.
look.
I love the Lovesexy hair, but the graffiti bridge hair.
Yeah.
Were they different?
Those were extensions.
Oh, okay.
So
Somebody, I was just looking up the picture. Somebody blew up. Oh, you can't see it. Darn it. Can you see it? Somebody blew up the little flower part.
Oh no.
And they put Lovesexy on it.
Cool. Well, I remember on the vinyl version of this release, here's the back cover here, but I believe on the vinyl, wasn't the rap from Alphabet Street in between the song titles?
I remember.
I don't remember that.
And also of note, this is the first Prince album. We already had the 4 and the U, but this is the first time we get the I, right? Instead of I. So did he keep that for the rest of his career, or was that kind of on again, off again?
Yeah, he did.
No, he did.
Yeah.
He
So
did.
a lot of things started with Lovesexy, really.
Well, he used it on again, off again.
That's what I thought.
He did use it on again, off again.
That's what I thought. All right. Well, do we have any other thoughts on the general album before we jump into the track by track?
I just love the whole look, the whole thing, and the switch about the album. Like at the time, I was kind of like unsure, but I've grown to love it over the years. And the look, the polka dots, everything.
Yeah, the lettering that he began using for this album, and the writing on the clothes, because that's when he started also having the writing on his clothes and using that with the solid colors, and moving into more pinks and teals and things like that. But the polka dots are the biggest standout from this era fashion wise.
Yeah, and I have to say, I don't know if you guys use Alexa a lot, but she's probably listening to me right now. The only song that I can say, just the song or the album, just Lovesexy, and she'll play it because she knows it's Prince, because there's nobody else that has a song named Lovesexy.
Oh.
Yeah. I actually presented at the Lovesexy 30th anniversary conference, and I presented on the fashion and how that fashion actually influenced early hip hop at that time, because people started wearing the big polka dots and a lot of the colors and things that he did.
All right. Well, this is taking me back to 1988. I think there was a department store in my hometown at the time called Hills. So that's where I got a lot of my music. And then there was a Record Giant. So if I could go back to being 13 years old and walking to Hills and Record Giant to buy records, I think I would, because the world is full of pain and suckiness now. So let's go back to the time when Lovesexy was hitting the record shelves and Prince was with us, making some of the best music that he ever wrote in his life. Because I feel like everything that he talked about on his previous albums, like, the manifestos and the social commentary, really all gelled on this album. It might not have been his biggest hit, but I do feel like it was one of his biggest statements. And I feel like it almost doesn't get the praise and recognition that it should get. I think it's just as good, if not better, as Sign of the Times, in my opinion.
Well, honestly, it's more, you get more of Prince's personal internal struggle on this album, and the things that he really you know, he struggled with really till the end of his life was, you know, this idea of, well, this sexual being is who I am, but I'm also religious and I love, and
Right.
the Bible says that everything I'm doing is wrong, but it feels right to me. and just that kind of tug, and you know, that he had from both sides. And I think on this album, it all comes together and you understand this is what he's dealing with internally.
I kind of feel in some ways this is the crowning achievement of Prince's discography. In some ways, I just feel like it was just a masterpiece. And
well, it's his version of a gospel album, really.
Yeah. Should we talk a little bit about the Black Album and what led us here? Because I guess that a little bit of that history is necessary for the viewers. After Sign of the Times, Prince had made a party album that he was going to just release without his name on the cover. Originally, some of the tracks were going to be for a side project he was doing called Camille, which was a character that he created. And then it morphed into this album that was just going to be the Black Album without any name, anything. And it was a party jam oriented kind of album. It was pulled at the last minute, and the only thing that survived were a few copies of the vinyl, I believe. I read in a book, one rumor was that Prince was upset that Warner Brothers was giving all the attention to Madonna's You Can Dance album. Don't know if that's
actually,
true or
I can
not.
tell you from my conversations with Alan Leeds, the reason he came up with the Black Album was because R&B radio was saying Prince isn't, there was an article that said Prince isn't funky enough anymore.
Okay.
And in response to that, he was kind of like, they're saying I can't be funky anymore. And radio, particularly R&B radio, was starting to shift to playing more hip hop.
Right.
And Prince could not understand at the time, because eventually he grew to have an appreciation for it, but he could not understand at the time, like, oh, that's not music. They're not real musicians. And he really struggled with that. Alan said that, you know, he would often talk to him about how I don't understand how these people are making records that are topping the charts and they're just talking. He eventually came to learn the actual process of hip hop and writing hip hop and, you know, developing a flow, because eventually he did that as well. And so, you know, the hip hop type of influences that you see on the Black Album are really kind of a sarcastic, you know, thing on his part to say, yeah, I can do this too. It's so easy.
I kind of prefer the hip hop of the Black Album over on Jughead, though. I'm gonna have to say. But
what album?
Jughead from Diamonds.
Oh, yes.
But we'll be getting there in a couple months.
The story that I heard was that he recorded the Black Album and was going to release it, and then realized something came over him where he had this, I don't know what, an enlightenment or something, and he thought that the Black Album was all pretty negative and dark, and that he wanted to release something more spiritual and uplifting, and that's why he made Lovesexy, and then released that instead.
And if you watch the Alphabet Street video, if you follow the letters, doesn't it say "Don't buy the Black Album"?
The umbrella.
Oh.
Right. He walks into it and it says, "Don't buy the Black Album. I'm sorry."
Yeah.
Now, at the time, there was so much mystery shrouded around the Black Album, and it was so legendary. Eventually, he did release it as like a contract fulfillment thing in 1994. Yeah. And upon release, for me personally, and we're going to discuss this in a couple months, it didn't quite live up to the hype. I think it's fine, but it's definitely not the funkiest thing I've ever heard in my life. It just kind of felt like he just was jamming with his friends and threw together a party mixtape.
Well, it appears, it seems more like those sessions were recorded in the Camille album sessions, like I said before the podcast. But I think that, you know, there are tons of reasons probably why he pulled it, you know. But I wonder if perhaps maybe he just thought, you know, what statement does this album make?
Yeah, he did seem a little disgruntled.
What statement does it make as a total? 'Cause remember, Prince didn't just write songs; he wrote albums.
Yeah,
It's kind of like, what statement does this album make? And you remember, there were a lot of things going on in 1988. You know, there's a presidential election going on, and you know, just all of the there's so much turmoil in 1988. Isn't that around the time of the Oliver North?
Yeah.
Stuff? So there's a lot of stuff going on. And I think that he kind of like responded to it.
Melissa, what do you think of Black Album? Just a quick overview, because we're actually going to talk about it in a couple months, but we're kind of paving the way for Lovesexy.
I think Lovesexy is a better album. 100%. There's a couple songs on the Black Album that I really like. There's a couple that aren't really my favorite. And I know you said I like everything, but there's like Two Nigs United for West Compton. No, not one of my favorites.
So I guess we'll be talking about the Squirrel Meat, Bob George, and Cindy C. in a
Bob
few
George,
months.
I love.
Oh my gosh, it's so Me Too. Like, but oh, I do love it too. All right, but okay. Instead of releasing the Black Album, instead Prince went back in the studio and recorded Lovesexy, which is his statement of spirituality and positivity, and that's actually a song title on the album. The album opens with the spoken word poem. Is it Ingrid that's talking?
Yep.
Yeah.
Is that Ingrid Chavez?
Yeah.
Madonna's collaborator on Justify My Love, correct?
Right.
Who I think didn't Madonna get sued or somebody sued somebody. I can't remember who. And don't leave if someone's watching, don't leave a mean YouTube comment because I didn't do my research. I know someone got sued, but this is the first time I heard of Ingrid. I never heard of. She's credited as Ingrid the Spirit Child, right, on the album.
Right. We don't really see her until 2 years later.
Right, and Graffiti
Bridge.
Jeremy, put my video back on.
Oh, you're back?
It says you blocked me.
All right.
Yeah, I got 10 minutes before I have to go back and do more stuff. So
Okay.
Gosh, what does it take to get kicked out of these things?
All right, so we're about to talk about the first song, I Know. This song is a reworking of his song, The Ball, which was an outtake from Sign of the Times. And in the liner notes, I can't remember who it was, but someone was saying they like The Ball better, but not me. I think I Know is a much better song, and I just think it sets the tone for this album. It's so jubilant, is that the word? And such a party atmosphere. It's full of spirit. I Know is probably one of my favorite Prince songs. It just has so much joy in it. So what do y'all think of this song?
Yeah, like it's a good opener. You know, sets the tone for the rest of the album for sure.
Yeah, I mean it's a great opening song. It gives me like throwback feels to James Brown and some of the actually Jackson 5 like cuts that weren't released.
Okay.
From their like 1970 album, that era. And it's really happy sounding song. It's very uplifting, you know. And I like that that breakdown. He's like, my Lord is so quiet. He gets it kind of because the song actually needs a breakdown at that point, and he does that, you know, and it just, you know, it gives you like kind of a break because that song makes you want to dance, like a cool off period, right?
Yeah, like in the beginning when it's all like soft, and then that drum kicks in and just like funky.
It has that little xylophone or the bells, and there's a lot of Sheila E. on this album singing, and I love the way Sheila E. sounds singing with Prince. I think their voices had such a chemistry. I really do.
Her and Bonnie Boyer is also doing background vocals on this.
I think the blending is so great. Like, and did he record a lot of these tracks with the band? Because I know a lot, like, even though the albums were credited to the Revolution, a lot of them were Prince solo recordings, right? On Lovesexy, was there a
Yeah.
little bit more involvement of outside musicians?
You know what? To be honest, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I'll have to look at that. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a largely Prince project, and the band jammed and learned the stuff because he did a tour right after
right.
it was released. So I'm not sure if we've come with our familiarity of it to be more so. The band was for touring
Right.
versus
And I know at the end it's like a trumpet. What before it goes on
Like a
out.
scale.
well, he would always have Eric Leeds do his parts.
But there was a trumpet. Eric Leeds
Yeah,
played.
so this was-
played sax.
Was it Atlanta
this was
Bliss?
Matt-
Atlanta
Listen,
Bliss, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, he always had the live trumpets and horns and
Yeah.
stuff. But I mean, as far as the rest of the tracking,
Right.
Also,
you don't hear any trademark Dr. Fink synthesizers on this album.
Do you feel there's
And
definitely some Sheila E on the drums though?
yeah, it
On
sounds
Dance
like
On
it.
for sure. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's in the credits.
Okay.
The background, the vocals, the just kind of murmuring chatter at the end. We hear of a new Prince alter ego who I think only makes one appearance in the whole universe, Andre Crabtree III.
Yeah.
Oh,
Who is-
yes.
Alphabet
He has
Street.
Oh,
Yeah.
he
Holes
makes
on a
another.
golf
They
course.
used that track, that part actually at the beginning of Movie Star.
Yeah. But I mean,
Yeah.
you never heard from Andre Crabtree III ever again, I don't think, in any projects or anything.
My name
You
is
know
Andre
that, you know,
Kraft.
well, you actually do. That's like kind of like an alter ego of, and I'll tell you this because I got this from when I interviewed Andre Simone, you know, because the way he created Morris kind of as a pimp, you know, that was a Prince, that was like a Prince kind of thing. It was a joke. And so Prince had that kind of alter ego, you know, with everybody else. It's just like first time on album.
So Morris in Prince's mind might have been Andre Crabtree, but put to life.
Yeah.
Maybe he was the second.
Or
Oh, the
is Andre
second.
Right.
the pimp of Andre Simone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the first, like when it goes into Alphabet Street and you hear that street, it's like street chatter. And it's like, what is this doing in a song?
And you can clearly hear Greg Brooks as one
Yeah.
of those voices. Like everybody else is kind of muffled and distorted
Mhm.
a little bit, but
Yeah.
Greg Brooks
But
is
it's
very
really
distinctive.
it's a good segue into the next song though.
Oh, I
Yeah,
love it.
it is.
It just sounds like they're having so much fun.
I
You
think
know-
they all have a good
It does.
segue into the next song though.
And
But
what do you think?
it also it's also kind of a juxtaposition against the song. The song is a very spiritual song. And then all the little chatter that you hear are about unsavory kind of things.
Yeah.
Do they say something about getting fish sandwiches, or am I imagining things?
No, you're right.
I don't know, but now you just made me hungry.
You're right.
What's on? I can get some of those fish sandwiches. All right, I'm gonna find it. It's in some Prince song somewhere.
Jeremy, real quick, an aside.
Maybe it's If I Was Your Girlfriend. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Future programming note. Can we do a podcast on was it called Hard Times? The little mini movie he made around this time at Paisley Park with Jill and the band and stuff. Do you remember? You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I started to watch
Hard
it.
Life. Hard Life, I think it was called.
Isn't it pretty bad?
It's terrible. Yeah.
We'll see about that.
Okay. All right. The credit, to Prince's credit, he has it listed as misdirected by Prince. So I think he knew it was kind of just in house, maybe. But
Okay,
anyway,
what do
sorry.
they say? And If I Was Your Girlfriend, we're like, dun, 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 dun. Then they say something. What do they say there?
Oh, look at
Check
the
out
packages
the bargains
over
over here, ladies.
Look at the
Okay.
packages over here.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Fish sandwiches.
Okay, that's it.
Right.
Okay, we did confirm that they're talking about, what do they say, y'all?
I'm gonna have me some of them sandwiches. I'm gonna have some of them sandwiches.
So it's not a fish sandwiches, but it is a
With
sandwich.
spinning.
Fin.
Spin and a half.
And it's like, I like the, I'm fitting to have one of them sandwiches. Isn't that what the voice is?
Yep.
Okay, as you can see, I listened to this album way too many times in my life, but maybe not enough. Okay, Alphabet Street. I love the song. Now, we were online when I told the story how the radio station played part 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think the song is so funky. I love the melody. I love to sing along to it. I think it's classic Prince. I think it's just as good as any of his other hits. How do you all feel about Alphabet Street?
I love Alphabet Street. I love it. And I love the fact that Arrested Development took the word Tennessee from that song and sampled it for their song Tennessee.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tennessee. No shit. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
And the other part about it is that it's really such a simple song, you know?
Right.
It's uncomplicated, and it's just the melody is very simplistic. The lyrics are simplistic. He doesn't really have a chorus in terms of lyrics. It's just the yeah part.
Right.
And it's real catchy.
He played it a lot as the intro to like jam sessions late in his life too. So he obviously thought the song was fun to play. So
now the real test here for my Phonogenics panel is: can you all do Cat's rap from beginning to end? Because I can.
Yeah.
We won't do it here, but I just want to know if you can.
I can.
yeah, I can. Yeah,
Actually,
I totally can.
I love this song so much.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know. I love the video kind of more because he was there in that outfit with the car and.
Well,
like,
the video he didn't want to film a video. It was a last minute thing that was put together.
Yeah, with all the little alphabets around.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that you can tell it wasn't expensive, that they didn't put a lot of money behind it, and it was a very quick thing, but that's the charm of it, especially with all the writing.
Now was this the introduction to Cat Glover in the Prince universe, or was she in the Sign of the Times movie? Oh, she was in
all over Sign of the Times.
That's right, and she was on the back cover of the single with the heart in front of her face. But is this her first time on a Prince album?
Yeah. This is the first time we hear her on a Prince album.
Right.
So the cat rap is partly why I named my daughter. Well, I didn't get a choice for a first name, so it's Alyssa, but the middle name was Katarina, so I could call her Cat.
Oh, do you need her to rap?
Call her Alley Cat, but I say, Cat, we need you to rap all the time. She hates it.
Yeah, if her first name had been Cat, one of your husbands would have thrown her in the trash.
Oh,
because they're mean to you on your stuff. That's not
right. I know, right? But with this song, that that little breakdown where he's like whispering and the alphabet. Goes A, B, C. Okay. I actually put that on my voicemail recorder. You know how you used to tape the song in the beginning and then somebody could leave a message? That was on there. Got to the part.
Oh.
And she misses the letter. What letter is it? H?
Yeah, she skipped G, I think.
G.
So it's H, and then she's I love you.
Okay.
So that was my little message for one of my ex-boyfriends when he called. He says, I love you.
Prince mentions a horny pony, which would come back a couple albums later as a B-side. And then, as part of the lyrics from Get Off.
Well, also, hey, we kind of glossed over talking about the video. Remember, it's got the subliminal message about not buying the Black Album in that video.
We said that when you left us, Clark.
Yeah.
You know what? It's got to work.
Oh, you better work, bitch.
Excuse me.
Oh, Melissa, what was your friend's name that we loved? Marcus?
Marcus, he said hi.
He introduced something into Phonogenics. I think we should continue. every song we do the thumbs up, thumbs down, or sideways. So
Oh yeah.
let's bring that back for I Know. What do you guys give I Know? How about Alphabet Street? Okay. Any other thoughts on Alphabet Street before we move on? All right, Glam Slam, which would be the name of his club in Miami. This is a weird song, and listening to it earlier tonight, it's even weirder than I remember because it kind of has like a 70s rock guitar thing going on. He's talking about being horny.
Some weird harmonies.
Yeah.
And you know, the interesting part of it are really the Claire Fisher strings.
Oh yeah.
That's the interesting part of it because they play throughout, and then the lead in into Anastasia. But they I think that they really put the oomph in the song.
Yeah.
Because I wonder what it sounds like without it.
Right. That's what I love too.
It's got to sound like a totally different song without the strings there. But I love the video though. I love the video for it.
You know what? I've never seen the video.
It's one of my favorite videos to watch.
Maybe I have, but I don't remember it.
He's in the white with the polka dots and he had his face, he had his eyes covered.
Oh yeah. Okay.
This is definitely a song about the spiritual and the sexual. You know, one of Prince's favorite topics. I can't really think of a Prince song that sounds like this other than this one. Can anybody else?
No, it's pretty unique.
I mean,
I actually prefer Glam Slam Escape though.
Oh, free your mind from this rat race.
Yeah, with the funky bass line and the horn signatures and the call and response. I like that better.
I actually do like that one better.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. Actually, this album had some pretty interesting B-sides.
Yeah, what was I have the 12 inches here. What was the B-side to Alphabet Street?
Was
not music, this is a trip. Cool. All right, any other thoughts on...
Okay.
All right, any other thoughts on Glam Slam? I don't have tons to say. I feel like the guitar solo at the end's a little excessive. Not my favorite part. Is that a guitar or is that Claire Fisher? What the hell's going on at the end of the Glam Slam?
At the very end, that goes into Anastasia.
That's all orchestra.
That's all strings. Yeah.
You know what? I'm so stupid. I always thought it was Prince's soloing.
Oh my god!
I actually like that part of the song.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
It sounds like Wizard of Oz, like either the witch is coming or his tornado is there. It sounds kind of similar to that sound.
It just sounds really whimsical to me. And then it's like very high and upbeat and then takes a dark turn. I like that. I like that contrast. You
know what? I'll admit that I was jumping around the album when I was listening this afternoon and I skipped past that part. So I need to revisit it and see
get you some nasty comments on the
yeah, here they come.
he thought it was a guitar. Ugh.
Listen, if all these people wanted me to do better on my podcast, they can subscribe to my Patreon, and I'll be able to take some days off work because I won't have to work so damn fucking much. Okay. Anyway, back to the Prince. Glam Slam.
Oh.
Sideways. Okay. Anastasia, definitely one of the most vulnerable, dark songs of Prince's entire catalog, right?
Best song on this album.
Top 10 of the whole catalog, I think.
Yeah.
This is my favorite. Like, if somebody says you have to pick one song, this is it.
From this album or from Prince?
From Prince.
Oh, from Prince?
Yeah.
Of all
it's
Prince?
Epic.
Of all Prince songs. Yeah.
It's so epic.
I sent that link in the chat because I there's no way I can remember all of that stuff, but just the whole sound of the song, the way it starts, the message, it's just like.
Yeah. I was actually taking dance lessons at the time and choreographed a piece to it.
Oh, nice. Yeah, video?
Probably not. I wouldn't even know where to even start to look.
As good as the song is on this album, it also holds up later when he released the live album.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
One Night
There's
Alone.
a great version of that on that live album too, which
Yeah.
sounds different, but also really good.
Yeah. And I think again, here's the thing that I like about the song is it's so dark. The music is so dark. And you really like you said, it's his vulnerable moment. You really get that feeling of isolation.
Yeah.
That you see surface again in his later years. Just as a human. It's in the lyrics. I think the other part for me are like the lyrics and the different way, it just the lyrics kind of cascade over the beat.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's really just beautiful. And then it has this Claire Fisher breakdown in the middle, just really beautiful.
I feel like everyone goes crazy over like Purple Rain and Sometimes It Snows in April, which are beautiful songs. But I think Anastasia is like that's where it's really powerful. I feel like that's the real epic. This is the real epic.
You all know how I feel about Purple Rain.
Oh.
This and like I said, Sometimes It Snows in April doesn't make me cry the way it does like a lot of Prince fans. Like, oh, when I hear Anastasia, after he died, that made me cry.
Yeah.
Because it opens up with have you ever been so lonely? It's like, oh my God.
So
because then you read about how much he'd isolated himself from people. And Fame is a monster that way.
And then when he was saying he'd take any one boy or girl, I'm like, hello, Prince. I'm over here.
I knew you were going to say that.
Come to Fredonia. I'm waiting.
Is he talking about Greg Brooks when he says Gregory looks just like a ghost? Or is there some other Gregory in the universe that we don't know
I've
about?
always wondered about that.
I can't remember where I read it, but it was like it was something about the whole ecstasy night. And I believe I can't remember exactly what it was, but I believe he saw Gregory Brooks, and
Oh, that makes sense with the lyrics. Like music, it was late, there was nothing great going on, and he took a chance, and then he saw Gregory looking like a ghost.
Yeah. If you listen to the song, it actually kind of seems like it tells the story of that night.
I feel like this is as dark as Prince's music ever got or gets. Like,
well,
I don't think it's like dark.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. I think
Come
he's
album.
really dark.
oh yeah, that's true.
That album can get really dark. I think that this was, you have to remember, it's 1988.
Right.
A lot of people that he had close to him for a long time left. Okay, they're gone. And so I can see he's got new people around him. The only person still there, Dr. Fing.
Right. And maybe dark is too simple of a word, but as you guys are pointing out.
Heavy.
Yeah,
heavy,
it's
maybe
very heavy.
Heavy is a much better word.
When I say dark,
light.
I think it's the atmosphere it creates. When I say dark, I mean the atmosphere that the song creates. And it's kind of like haunting, like those there's some 70s Philly soul ballads that are very dark in this way.
Can I say something that you guys are totally make fun of me for?
Yes, please.
In the comments, here come the fucking comments. But there's only one other song in the Prince universe that gives me that same like isolated heaviness, and no one will ever guess it. But to me, I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to say it because you guys are going to crucify me. But
is it Courting Time?
No, it's not by Prince. But it's in the Prince universe. I get the same empty feeling of isolation from Samuel by Vanity from her Wild Animal album.
Well,
that's that song is like that, just that hollowness and the emptiness that you feel of Isolation. I feel like they both kind of tap into the same thing for me.
Well, like I just mentioned it, but I think that the song that kind of is like the later in life version of this song is June.
Mm.
I have to re-listen to that.
Yeah, because it's very, it's a very lonely sounding song.
Yeah, Prince definitely got real here. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. I'm surprised the song just doesn't have much more, isn't more iconic in his discography.
Yeah, I like the way about this song that it ends the way it starts.
Okay.
The piano.
The beginning, I could, as soon as that first note, that piano is like, that's it. That's Anastasia.
Yeah.
It's like iconic, like to us, I guess. If he would have released it, like Aisha said, then I think a lot of people would have loved it. Not everybody, because everybody doesn't love Prince. It's blasphemy.
A lot of people did like Party Prince. A lot of people liked Party Prince. And they probably
like 7 or 8 minutes long, though?
What?
It's like 7 minutes or 8 minutes long, isn't it? That works against it being put out as a single.
Hold on, I can actually tell you.
It's 5 minutes, I think.
It's just 5?
Give me.
But the live version is definitely longer.
The live version's really long.
I love the God is love, love is God
Yes.
melody that comes at the end. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
The message. That's what I'm saying. When you guys say dark, like it goes to like he's praying to God and talking about Jesus, so it's not dark.
Okay. I think heavy is a much better word.
When I say dark, I'm talking really about the tone of the instrumentation.
Yeah.
It's very dark.
Definitely minor key.
It's like uplifting to me. This is like a really defining moment in my spirit. Like I went to church with my friend. I didn't have to go to church, but I went to church with my friend. But then when this song comes on, it's like, oh yeah, like this, I don't know. Just spiritually means a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, can I safely say that we all give it a thumbs up?
Yes.
Big 2 thumbs up. Melissa, your favorite Prince song of all time? I never knew.
Yes. Actually, my boss asked me that one time. He goes, "Oh, so what's your favorite Prince song?" And I said, "Anastasia." He goes, kind of looked at me like, "What?" Like he had no clue that there was even a song. He goes, "I'll have to listen to it sometime."
This is probably the last, I lied. This is the second to last Prince album I got on vinyl, because Batman I also got on vinyl. Then I switched over to CD. But I loved how this ended side 1. It was great to have that breather.
This is the last Prince album that I bought on vinyl at that time.
So
I've since bought some of the other ones.
You were CD by the time you got to Batman?
Cassette, I don't like. And I had to, we'll get there. I don't like Batman.
Does anybody like Batman? It's not one of my favorites.
It's the only Prince album that I don't like.
I love Batman.
I think it's all right. I think it's in the middle. Aisha, will you still be joining us though for Batman?
I'll join you.
Oh. All right.
I always saw Batman as kind of a cash grab, and I'm not mad at him for it. I get it.
Yeah.
He had to make some money.
Yeah, he paid some bills with that for sure. So
yeah,
can't fault anybody for that.
I like Party Man, but some of the other songs are just kind of like.
Oh, I was reading something. Somebody asked a question in Prince.org. Who is Anastasia? Is it a metaphor? Is it somebody real? Like, does anybody have any?
Like anesthesia?
I just thought it was a metaphor.
Or is there a classic Russian novel called Anastasia?
Is it Anna Fantastic?
No, I always thought it meant anesthesia. Because if you look at it, it's spelled anesthesia.
That's what I thought.
Minus the one end. Minus the one end, but yeah. I always thought it was that because the song kind of is it's so haunting that it kind of like numbs you the way Anastasia does.
I thought he was like humanizing the drug.
Mm.
That makes sense.
All right. Well, do we need a break before side two, or can we zip right on to the next part? Oh,
What is
you're
Clark?
You're muted, Clark.
His mouth
You're
is.
still-
I think he's walking to his car.
He's still muted.
Yeah.
Well,
Turn the mic on.
for those that can read lips.
He's trying
Sorry,
to
I
figure it
muted
out
you
right
because I
now.
flushed the toilet.
Oh, Clark, were you saying that everybody should go to Spotify? Well, not Spotify, to Apple Music and download the new deluxe editions of my last 2 albums I just released today?
That's exactly what I was saying.
All
How
right.
did you know?
Side 2 of Lovesexy opens with Dance On, which is another topical track, kind of like Sign of the Times was. We're talking about violence and social issues. There's a big fat Hammond organ in there that's juicy and tasty. Sheila E. rocking the drums. We have some great background vocals. I love the song. What do you guys think of Dance On?
Some dude gets his feet nailed to the floor. That's
Like
pretty.
the song. Actually, I like the song. Actually, it's one of the. It's not very long.
Mhm.
It's a rather short song for Prince. I think my favorite part of the song is like the end with just the melodies and the harmonies. I really like that at the end.
What do they keep repeating at the end? Have you had your something today?
Everybody dance.
Oh, have you had your plus sign?
No, that's
That's
from
positivity.
that's positivity.
What color is your money
Amazing.
today?
Oh yeah,
color-
what color is your money today?
That's it.
Yeah.
What color is your money today? Dance song.
Get your money straight.
Yeah, that part. Yeah.
I like that. Who's singing the nuclear band doesn't stay in tune? Is that Sheila?
Bonnie.
It's Bonnie.
Or it might be Prince, actually. You know what? I think it is Bonnie, though.
I don't know. I just loved. This is an album that
I always thought it was Prince singing that part.
when I was listening today, I'm like, who this?
I mean, I've heard Bonnie sing by herself, so it could be her or it could be him. I think if I watched, I'm trying to remember. I think they may have performed it on the Lovesexy tour.
I like how Sheila E. puts all these crazy fills in, but then there's one where she just hits a hi-hat. She's like, tss, 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 tss. I'm like, go Sheila.
Yeah, it's a really groovy kind of song.
And this is another one. I can't think of any other Prince song that sounds like this. I kind of feel like that about almost all the songs on this album, to be honest with you.
No, and actually, it's got this pulsating beat that sounds like a machine gun.
Yeah.
Well,
He mentions that in the lyrics.
But the little breakdown at the end where it says it's time for new education, the former rules don't apply. That reminds me of
Sexuality.
on 1999. Time for jazz to die. Time for new direction. Time for jazz to die.
Controversy.
Yeah. That's it. It's time for new direction. It's time for jazz to die. And then this says it's time for a new education. Former rules don't apply. It's like kind of.
I never made that connection. I love it.
Yeah, that's one thing that Prince was constantly doing throughout all of his music is looking for something new. What's the new thing? The old ways aren't working.
Right.
So who's doing something different? Who's doing something new?
Well, that's
All right.
his, the quote that I was going to say before is what he said, that people were wondering why his music was changing and why he just wasn't doing what he used to do. And he said, let me tell you something, 1999 amounts to me being in 3rd grade musically. That's where I was then. And if you want to hear me grow, this is growth, basically.
Yeah.
My music.
He told that to he told that to Stephen Ivory, who wrote one of the first biographies of about Prince. Stephen Ivory used to work for Soul magazine.
I think I have the Stephen Ivory book somewhere in my archive.
Regina Jones.
I'm going to disagree with Prince. I'd say 1999 is probably like freshman in college. Maybe this is senior in college, but he definitely wasn't in. 1999 is not no third grade damn music, Prince.
I mean,
you're much better than you give yourself credit for.
Yeah, I think
Not right away.
It might not even be musically that he was speaking of. It might just be where his head was in terms of his creativity.
Okay, and his spirituality.
Yeah.
Growth.
Yeah.
All right, so Dance On. What do we give it? I give it a thumbs up. All right, next is Lovesexy, the song, which...
Yeah.
I love this song.
See, this was always my least favorite song on the album. So you guys have to take this. I just felt like it was long and kind of... I don't know. But I still liked it. Like, don't get me wrong. I still liked it. What do you guys love about the song?
This is another one of those songs I think they should have released as a single because it could be commercial. But it was... I love the bass in this song. I just love it. It's so low and just...
the entrance.
Yeah. And this is,
new power, give it to me, and then it's
Lovesexy.
I love the instrumental break in the middle. Da 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 da. I love that. Again, I'm not a musician.
And then there's the conversation between him and Kat at the end.
Right.
That gets a little
where they turn into each other.
spicy. Yeah.
A little saucy.
And then they brings back the rain is wet, sugar is sweet.
Yep.
Yeah.
Rain's wet and sugar is sweet. Okay, I love this song. All right.
See? I love this song so much, like the title and the name that used to be my email. It was Lovesexy and then 769 for my birthday. And then when I had kids, I had to change it because I didn't want to give the teachers this email that said Lovesexy.
What just occurred to me is I feel like a lot of Prince albums, he would always have a song or two that was like from his vault. Like Sign of the Times had a few different vault tracks, stuff from like 1999. And I feel like, of course, When Two Are in Love came from Black Album, but even that, everything was pretty current for this album, was it? I feel like, he did revolve the ball.
I mean, the thing of it is that we honestly don't know when Prince actually wrote any of, really any of his songs. Because, he because the thing is that he went back to them. People can say, people can guess. And it's like, well, he was working on this song at this time on this date, but he may have written that years ago, or the melody years ago and just went back to it because he constantly went back to things. So
I feel like lyrically there was definitely
I think When Two Are in Love had hovered around with him for a long time before he even put it down on the Black Album. Because you think about it, the Black Album, it really doesn't fit.
No, it doesn't. I did feel like there was an emotional and spiritual maturity to the lyrics on most of these songs that were unique to this album. Or maybe, we're starting to get there a little bit with Sign of the Times. But it definitely continued with this album. But I could see When Two Are in Love being maybe the outlier here.
Yeah.
I think it fits
on this album.
I think it fits too, for sure.
I think it fits on this album. It's it's one of his shorter ballads, and but it's I like the part where he continues to say, "Can you hear me?" Because it's kind of like it's not so much "Can you hear me," but it's like, "Can you hear me?" Like, "Can you feel what I'm saying to you?"
Right.
Are you taking it? And I like that about it.
Who heard him say, "Come bathe with me," and immediately looked back at the album cover?
Well, let's before we jump ahead, Lovesexy. Are we all
I
thumbs
didn't
up
have
on
the
the
album
song?
cover. My parents took it.
Oh, Lovesexy.
Okay, When Two Are in Love. I think a delightful, enchanting ballad. I think it's sexy. You know, I'm not a huge fan of the Prince ballads,
I know.
but I love When Two Are in Love. I think it's just so romantic. Come, baby. Like, I'm totally in. 100% in. I think he nailed it with the song. I think it's gorgeous. I want to be in that bathtub. Nothing's forbidden. Nothing's taboo. If you say
This
so.
song should have been released.
I think this could have been a hit.
Yeah, it definitely would have been.
Yeah, I think so.
And I like at the end how it's kind of an instrumental fade
But
out.
because of the second verse, they wouldn't have released it.
What was the second? Remind me of the second verse. Once you started, I'll remember it.
The part about the thought of his tongue and
Oh, yep.
yeah.
Yep.
So I don't think that they would have released that at back then.
Right.
You know, 2022, they might just play the damn thing.
Now it's like, no problem. Why do you think he put it on the Black Album? I mean, I know it's a different, we're going to be talking about that later, but maybe he just loved the song. Maybe he loved the song.
Dude did whatever he wanted.
Yeah, he did do whatever the fuck he wanted.
But wasn't When Two Are in Love also a holdover from Camille?
It doesn't have the Camille voice.
Yeah, I didn't think it was. I know Rock Hard in a Funky Place was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think that I don't know. I like the way it fits on this album.
Yeah, it's a nice palate cleanser after, a lot of soul searching. It's nice to have a nice bath.
Yeah, it's very sensual.
Yeah, and it kind of
It's a
sets you up for
sensual
the next. It sets you up for the next song, which then again really shows that struggle between him with the sexuality and the religiosity part.
Yep.
The spirituality part. So because it goes from When Two Are in Love right into I Wish You Heaven.
So what do we give When Two Are in Love? Thumbs up for me.
Love it.
Okay. I Wish You Heaven. It's interesting because it's kind of synth poppy. There's some really different kind of synth sounds that he didn't use a lot that were very kind of almost Cocteau Twins-ish, which we know Jill Jones is a huge fan of the Cocteau Twins. This is just a very airy, spacey, atmospheric song. It was released as a single. I got it has part 1, 2, and 3, right? On the 12 inch.
I have the 12-inch.
Definitely a weird single. But I love this song.
I do too.
Childlike.
Yeah, it's very simple.
Yeah, the la da 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 da.
Yeah.
What did y'all think of this song?
I love it.
I have a special place in my heart for this song. Just because it was the last single released from the album. But it also just makes me so happy every time I hear it.
Yeah.
It's such a kind song,
It's gentle. It's gentle.
But it's like, what's the, more than saying, I wish you love. It's like, I wish you love. I wish you heaven, even more so than anything. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
I always wonder why he put the I on I know, but not on I wish you heaven.
See, because he was going.
Good
That
catch.
was, like we said, going back and forth.
Well, cool. I guess there's not tons to say about this song other than it's a delight.
I mean, it's
Part of the journey.
Yeah, it's not complex, which isn't a bad thing.
A big thumbs up from all of us.
Yeah, and it's a good song to segue into positivity.
Right.
Yeah.
So now we've reached the closing track of the album, which I will say Positivity is definitely in my top 5 favorite Prince songs of all time, if not top 3.
Wow.
I think it's so deep. Like
I
it's,
love this song so much. Patti LaBelle did she sang she did a show where she sang it with Prince.
really.
Yes.
Did her backup
to hear
singer show up?
to hear Patti LaBelle sing the have you had your plus sign today? It's like, oh my God, it's Patti LaBelle. Oh my God, it sounds so good.
Oh,
So you can find that actually
I
on
just love
YouTube.
this song is the whole message again about the positivity and, you know,
have you had your plus sign today?
yeah. And
You know, my favorite part of the song is when it goes, in every man's life, there'll be
Oh my God, so good.
I love that part.
I'll be honest, when I was driving around, I started crying listening to this. I was so moved by it. And just that soul searching. And I feel like with society, such a fucking things are so fucked up right now. And that message of positivity and love and honesty, peace and harmony, like it really hit me. Like we need this so bad. Prince, we need this so bad today. Like we needed it in 1988, but we need it in 2022.
Yeah.
I think positivity is a more important song than anything on Purple Rain.
Yeah.
And then like you said about the plus sign, that was before texting. And so
Yeah.
like, throwing that in there again, he's way ahead of his time.
And we have another Prince
But it
character.
looks like a needle, though, when you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like it does look like a needle. And I mean,
Then he brings the
That's-
spooky electric
you know,
back.
that have you had your plus sign today has a dual meaning, you know, plus
Yeah.
in terms of positivity, and
Yeah.
then you know, hypodermic needle. But it just those I love when he does those double entendres in songs. I love it.
And where have we heard Spooky Electric? Oh, from I Know. Yep, he's in I Know. And this is the only album. Does Prince ever talk about Spooky Electric? Any other album besides Lovesexy?
No, but you get the kind of the feeling that it was Spooky Electric who did the Black Album.
Yes. Yep.
Mm.
And you know, Spooky Electric really feels kind of scary. Like there's definitely some dark energy there that's for real. Like this isn't bullshit.
Can you turn the camera off?
Yeah, hold on.
And that brings it back into that that speaking part. Call People Magazine, Rolling Stone.
Call your next of kin because your ass is gone.
Yeah.
And I love how the drums change into that bongo at the end.
Me too.
Oh, fucking good. And
Yeah.
before I got this, you know, the CD with the track separated, I only had the CD and I had to fast forward through the whole fucking album just to get to Positivity because this was
But
my favorite song.
the end of Positivity actually has a gospel sound. It has this gospel feel to it when you get to the part "Hold On to Your Soul." We got a long way to go.
Yeah.
It really sounds like songs that people sang in the '60s when they were marching.
Yeah.
When they were doing civil rights marches.
I just got a tinge of emotion. Like that line meant so much to me because it's so easy to lose your soul in this day and age.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, we're so caught up in vanity, no pun intended, and narcissism and
Vanity.
look at me, but who are we inside? Oh,
Vanity.
oh yeah. Okay, who will do the Vanity Wild Animal podcast with me? Anybody?
I will.
Oh, such a pretty mess.
I have that on 12-inch too.
Mess of my dress. Okay, back to Positivity.
I've got the picture version.
Yes. Oh my God. I love those Vanity solo albums. All right. Thumbs up, Positivity. Have you had your plus sign today? So, Clark, what you think of this song?
I thought I read somewhere that Spooky Electric and Andre Crabtree III opened up a bed and breakfast in Winnipeg.
Do they serve sandwiches? Is that where you can get the sandwiches?
They specialize in sandwiches. Yeah.
Fish sandwiches.
Oh my gosh, this has been so much fun talking about this album.
It has.
Yeah.
I love y'all, Prince fam.
Yes, this is one of my top 3 favorites.
What are your
this
other
is
two,
definitely one of my
if I don't
favorites.
mind?
Parade.
Okay.
And I really love Artificial Age.
Really?
I really do.
Yeah.
I might have to revisit it.
Not to say that, you know, Sign of the Times is up there and it's top 5, but top 3, those 3 are the ones that, because I'm like, you know, I want to really love a later Prince album. Artificial Age did it for me. Listening to it.
Well, I might have to revisit that so we can all talk about it.
Mm.
All right. Any final thoughts on Lovesexy before we wrap this lovely discussion up?
No, just a great album.
Let me pause for
A
1
great
second.
musician.
Or anytime you can coerce Jill into joining, of course, that's always going to be awesome.
Maybe I'd love to have Jill's thoughts on Graffiti Bridge, although
Oh yeah.
Yes.
there may not be many nice things to say.
You know, I
Right.
was talking to somebody about Jill, and they're like, "Oh, is she just like bitter about stuff?" I'm like, "It's not so much bitter; it's just that she doesn't bullshit." You know what I mean?
Jill don't
Real
care.
about it.
She's just a straight shooter, which you can't
Right.
not admire that.
Right.
You know?
And here's the other thing too about her is that, you know, she is very, you know, you got to remember what Jill kind of gave up to go into the Prince world. She left
Tina Marie?
she left Motown.
Yeah.
Okay. To go in that direction. And so she saw everything that she
Yeah.
saw and does not lie about it.
Nope.
She's very real about it. She's very direct about it. And there are, you know, to know, like, if you ask her something and she'll be very honest with you, because, you know, she's one of those people who believes that holding in stuff for the sake of protecting a mythical legacy, it doesn't protect her at all.
Yep, that's what I like.
And I love that she doesn't rewrite history to try to make it seem like she was more important, like other people do in the universe.
Exactly.
Like, she says it like it was, like it is, and like it will be.
Yeah.
And that's enough. And that's just why I love her. We love you, Jill, if you're watching this.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Lovesexy, scale of 1 to 10. 10 means masterpiece. On a scale of chaos and disorder to 10. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my God. I love chaos and disorder. Oh.
All right.
Anyway.
On a scale of 1 to 10. In the Madonna podcast, we call it on a scale of Madam X to 10, which got me some thumbs down. But on a scale of 1 to 10, let's start in the bottom right with Melissa. What do you give Lovesexy?
20.
Oh! Aisha.
10.
Oh! Clark Brooks.
Yeah, if the definition is masterpiece, it's clearly a 10.
Yeah.
All right, and I'm going to have to give it somewhere between a 10 and a 20. I think this is one of Prince's best albums. I don't think you can't lose a song. I think it's a masterpiece from beginning to end.
I think his instincts were right on in releasing this and
Yes.
that album.
All right. Well,
Even though it didn't do, you know, what people expect, I think as a masterpiece, I think that's.
well, we're about to lose Andre Crabtree and Spooky Electric and have them replaced with the Joker and Bruce Wayne next month
Nice segue.
for the Batman soundtrack.
Wow. That was masterful.
See why I earned my money? That
No kidding.
Patreon / Jeremy Gloff. I'll take 50 cents. It adds up. All right. Well, my Prince family, I love you all. This was so much fun. One of my favorite albums, and to share it with friends, there's nothing better than this. So shall we meet in, it's still January, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Last
So
day.
shall we meet in February to talk about Batman?
Yeah.
All right. I will see you then, my friends. Bye. Get that fish sandwich.